This is the logic of Mgtow. Apparently, I went through, not really apparently, but the 1 week I went through a number of Mgtow videos, and obviously, one that thinks that the 1970s feminist act was purely about homosexuality, among other things. I, being part of the 1970s, because I was born in the 1970s, I'm not gonna say where. The woman who claims to know or understand Mgtow only understands it on a female perspective. She doesn't fully understand Mgtow. Yet near the end of the video, she had the gumption to think that she knows the reason why males are going their own way. Mgtow members are going their own way. You don't. I don't care how many articles that you read, which are mostly written and voiced by feminist women anyway, and women in general, doesn't really coincide or give you the full understanding of Mgtow and why men are not going towards marriage. You don't know the male persona. I, on the other hand, I understand both, not only the male persona, because yes, I'm a male, granted, yes, but seeing that I was raised by women, I understand the female persona more than you will ever realize. And this young woman was wearing a Daphne haircut, which would be a new age Daphne haircut, dark clothing with leggings, dark leggings with designs on it. Trying to look like some sort of radio setup or whatever. You don't know anything about Mgtow. Mgtow is not concerned whether or not if you respect them or not. Mgtow is not concerned if you think you know the founder. The founder did not specify what you read. He knows that women have, throughout a number of years, and I'm not going to say how many, throughout a number of years, women have made it to the points to where the male went through practical hell just to make a living for both sides, both the male and female, even before they had children, and even if the one had children already, or if they were like the Brady Bunch, where both sides already had children. the whole basis is that women can say all they want if they truly understand Mgtow, or if they hate Mgtow for any reason, or if they dislike Mgtow for any reason, or if they should think that Mgtow shouldn't persuade. We're not persuade. We don't persuade. Us Mgtow members, we don't persuade anybody to do anything. It is up to the male gender, be that, of course, today's youth, of teenage, 20-year-olds on up, and even ones before teenage. It's up to them to make their own decisions. Logical Mgtow states that big time. The one other thing is that logical Mgtow also states this. Women who claim that you support Mgtow, like Thule, the one that sounds like the woman from the Mork and Mindy episode where they say her name and she says, "I don't go by that name anymore." And then when they ask her what name does she go by right now, and she goes, "Rainbow." The basic fact is that woman that says that she supports Mgtow, she doesn't support Mgtow because she has two other videos that conflict with it. Well, actually, more than conflict with it. She's a complete hardcore feminist. Julie, the one that claims that she supports Mgtow, the blonde-haired one, and also if you watch her Mgtow one where it says traditionalist and feminist and Mgtow, right, on the listing on the of the name of the video as supposedly. She calls herself a traditionalist. I've run into this before. She's not a traditionalist. The way she words things, she's a hardcore fucking feminist. And so is obviously the one I mentioned earlier. Women can claim all they want up the yin yang, up the wazoo, all they want of if they truly understand and respect Mgtow on any level, it doesn't matter. But the basic fact is, they do not understand Mgtow, and again, they keep on attacking Sandman and Howard Dare, the two Mgtow brothers that I myself respect. Because of course, not only because I'm a male, but also I'm a Mgtow member. But of course, is that they speak common sense, and also they know women just as much as I do. Although the basic fact is that I know the human psyche of both male and female. Not not only because I was raised by women, and yes, I was raised by a single mother, but the the complexity is that and the conceptualities are that in the 1970s it was not frowned upon for single mothers to look for the father figure. Of course, they were taken advantage of due to the fact of the female aspect that men even back then started taking advantage of the women just for their own little hormonal needs, which basically is illogical and sinful. But yet it's been played on through and through. But of course, at the same time, There are women that are have been doing that actually. Even in the 1990s, they've been essentially repeating the same thing that men did in the 1970s, 60s, um, and um, and also 80s. The general fact is that women cheat more than men do nowadays. Women have cheated since the 1990s and late 1980s. It's as if it's a revenge concept or something to that effect. That seeing that men think they can cheat on us women, we'll turn around and find a blue pill and a blue pill man and cheat on his sorry ass and he'll believe us when we say we haven't. That sort of mindset with women has been played on even today. The basic fact is, it wasn't right for men to do it, regardless of their hormonal needs. And I know it's not always a hormonal aspect for women when they do. It's usually used as a revenge, a society type of revenge. Seeing that women were done wrong in that aspect for so many years, through the 1980s mostly, and a good portion of the 70s, or at least a moderate portion of the 70s, and a moderate portion to a small portion of the 1960s. The one thing is, women do not realize when it comes to that, especially. You want to get back at men for doing you wrong. But yet, when men don't do you wrong, you do them wrong. And when you do them wrong, when the guy's not doing you wrong, it's more of a society thing. Plus, on top of that, plus on top of that, women have become, shall we say, restless, if not more so than that. They expect things to be done for them in illogical amounts of time, very illogical amounts of time. They expect things to be done and given to them without question. They expect things to be done and given to and for them without hesitation. But yet, when men expect certain things, women give some sort of like speech or excuse of why men aren't getting it, but women should get it without question and without hesitation, and they call that fairness. It's not. It's like, okay. Here's an example. Person A being the woman, and person A being the man, being of course the gender aspect of things, right? If person A of the man gets all that he needs from society, but yet person A of the female gender gets only a moderate to small portion of that, she still bitches. She still moans. She still complains. But yet, even if the man got that same portion that the woman got, he deals with it. He copes with it. That's logical right there. Women need to quit thinking that the wage gap situation is like a race. Who's doing a better job? Who's getting the highest the wage is the one that's doing much better and works harder and is able to do a lot more, regardless of the time of day. And the time of day being, of course, women are always let home earlier than men due to, of course, various reasons that have happened to women over the number of years, like, shall we say, rape, practically near murder and whatnot. But aside from the fact of that, women, you need to realize the wage gap situation is not a race. It's not to say the male gender is better than the female gender, or works harder than the female gender, or is, shall we say, more upheld in some way more than the female gender. And society has no correlation nor connection to that reason of why men get paid more than the woman in wages. Has nothing to do with it. But I know women are so, shall we say, closed-minded most of the time when it comes to something like that. They want to believe what they want to believe, especially when it comes to the feminist movement of today. Yet the feminist movement of the 1970s, between 72 and 78, and yes, I was born in between them, but the basic fact is that as an advocate, as I am under CRPHA, I support the ERA. And the ERA had nothing to do with homosexuality, as one female that claims to understand and support Mgtow on whatever level, on any number of levels, it doesn't matter. And the same woman who thinks that we're influencing the younger gender of males on any level and for any reason when we're not. All we're doing as Mgtow is informing the younger gender of males to be aware, watchful of the conceptualization and the actions and mannerisms of the female gender in their age range, to start with, because it is true that women are taught certain ways more than men. Men are taught mostly by other male genders. But of course, when it comes to the male gender, when it comes to mothers do what they can. They but the one thing is that I think Howard Dare may have one particular thing kind of misconstrued, and 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 that is not all. Now I'm sure he didn't mean all of them, but not all mothers will fully ignore the uh, the male the male offspring, if you will. Um, just because she's had issues, or even if she had issues or troubles or what have you, or conflicts with the older of the male gender, be that father figure or dating scene. Um, Mothers do what they can and what they understand. That's logic right there. The one thing is also, males do the same, can be said to be doing the same thing when it comes to the female gender of, say, their daughters. That's also a fake, a big time falsehood. The basic fact is that there's many misleading things being said when it comes to the male and female genders. Not through Mgtow exactly, but from the female perspective. The female perspective is always been that the males don't understand females, or and the males need to to make more in order to support the females' needs, wants, and what have you, and forget their own. That's been the forget their own. That's one thing that these women about going against and supposedly supporting Mgtow, they don't understand. They will not admit that's one thing that women do. The women want the guy to do and give everything to the woman, even in the dating aspect, as well as the relationship aspect, as well as the marriage aspect, without question. But yet, when the guy wants something, and it's not always sexual to start with, the woman comes up with an excuse, a long, gossipy storyline, if you will. Women do not admit things. They won't even admit the things I've said about them. And yet, women say, "Oh yeah, I'll admit to this, to many different things." Then, right when it comes down to it, they don't. They refuse to. Women think they're so complex. Men even said that women are complex. Not to me, though. They're not. Yet, when I say something to a woman about women, they completely try to change it as if it's not factual when they know I am right. They'll come up with all sorts of excuses, all sorts of bullshit, because they don't want the male gender to know the truth when they know within them the male gender already knows the truth. Such as myself, for example. Hmm. Thule, the one that claims to support Mgtow, and the one that has an updated Daphne haircut and dark stockings with designs on it and dark clothing. The one that claimed that she had a whole lot of articles on, mostly written by women, to prove her point, and claims that she knew the founder of Mgtow. When really there's no true founder of Mgtow. It was just a group of men more than sick and tired of women's bullshit that they gathered up a group and put it upon YouTube, in which I thank YouTube for that, for allowing that. But yet, there's a number of things that women try to persuade society to do, decide with the woman. Yes, women are still known as the weaker gender, or quote, or another way of putting it, the weaker sex. And yes, women have been given the opportunities to fight in the wars with us, men. Work alongside with us, in even in office surroundings, like clerk and like lawyer and like the attorney aspect of things. Besides retail, and besides fast food and what have you. But and besides also transit and taxis and shit. But the basic fact is, women need to realize, if you think you can objectify men the way you have online, and even through the current Mgtow, the Wigtow, essentially, if you will, and also through the feminist and Mgtow movement. I will give Thule one credit for one thing. She's right about one thing. Women apparently like drama, and yet they claim that they don't. They want to start shit that they think they're gonna solve for them mainly. Realistically and logically, you ain't gonna solve shit. The today's feminist movement is nonsense. It makes no fucking sense of why it's established. I can tell you that with the fact that I know psychology, I know the complexities of women more than women will ever realize. And yes, I know a woman watching this would say, okay, if you truly understand us women, then why aren't you with one? One thing, a person can understand a woman and not be with, but also just to let you know, it doesn't mean the dude's gay. It doesn't mean the dude's straight. It doesn't mean the dude's bi. It doesn't mean anything. The basic fact is that women have a completely distorted thought about men, and namely towards the Mgtow thing. The Mgtow movement is as it also to be seen as. One thing, until women quit expecting things that are not logical, and even if they claim that that is logical and it is more than possible, when truly it's not, and they cannot expect the guy to make more in order to for them to get more. The human race will suffer because of that stupid decision from women, and done and thought up by women. And they can claim it's because of men, but it's not. Women will come up with many different excuses and so-called theology reasons and whatnot. All they're doing really is hurting themselves and their gender and humanity by expecting things that are not really realistic and that are not really possible right off the bat when they expect it to be. The high expectations aspect from women is one of the clinchers of why men are not willing to marry them or willing to even deal with their sorry ass. Because of the high expectations of how much the guy makes and how much the guy will be able to give them and ignore his wants and needs and only pay attention to the woman's wants and needs when basically that's illogical and sinful to say the least of a mindset from women. I'm going to tell you straight up, okay? As a Mgtow member, of course before I became a Mgtow member, I went through relationships. Um, but the one thing is, I experienced just as much, if not more so, from one woman per relationship. And what women expect is, and what they expected from me was completely illogical. I didn't see it, but now I do. I mean, I've seen it since then, anyways. I should say, I've seen it, and it's surprising at least one of them got a blue pill, male. I don't know. I don't really care if the other one did or not, but you know. But the basic fact is that a woman, if a woman wants something from a man, then she needs to be realistic, and they're not realistic about it and how they go about it either. Even on the aspect of the financial aspect of things. The basic fact is that yes, women have children due to their aspect of opening their legs, thinking that the guy's going to be with them, and yet when the guy's not, when the guy does something wrong, they automatically separate from them. But of course, the one thing is, Mgtow does not we do not promote, and we will not deal with those men who beat women. That's one thing. We don't promote either those men who rape women. I, as an advocate, outside the Mgtow thing, but at the same time, I use Mgtow situations and conceptuals, whatnot, and ideal, and you want to call them idealism, through the advocating thing as well. But the one thing is that as an advocate, I I don't separate the two, be that the two genders. I work it equally as hard for both sides in education, employment, among other things. But the one thing is, outside of that, is that women are making it harder for them to be in a relationship and marriage as long as, say, my grandparents were. As long as, say, other grandparents have been and where they're still together. You know what I mean? Women have said they want that, but yet they're going about it the wrong way, even nowadays. Women have not really grabbed true hold to the real way of doing things. And it does mean that you can take advantage of the guy due to finances or anything else, or even emotional. And I know how women like to do mind games. It's been done to me. And I know how women think that men do the mind game thing too. Not as much as women do. If we do, it's because it's been done to us. But then, of course, I'm going to tell you straight out, in the human perspective, it's not right. In the spiritual perspective, it's a sin. Whoever does it, and here's the other thing too. I've posted on this one woman's thing that claims that she understands the Mgtow reason and whatnot. The same one that had the leggings with the designs on it, right? And the one with that I said that had the Daphne haircut, the updated Daphne haircut. The one thing women need to realize, you want it to be thought as it being only fair that the woman gets practically everything and the man gets very little because he's seen in society and in the workplace as a higher commodity. But yet you want him to do things for you more than he should do for himself. Think about this. In the court system, during a divorce, the percentage of likelihood is that the woman always gets the upper hand. The male will get the moderate to low hand to the points to where he's ignored, to where he's not even seen. You know what I mean? And that usually goes towards the male's finances. And at times it goes towards the aspect of where the divorce consists of the couple that don't have children, but yeah, she still gets what's known as alimony, what Mgtow considers vagina money, and what Tom Likas considers vagina money. Well, and this goes along with if the couple had children, doesn't matter how many, or if the couple never had children, or even if the couple adopted a child or two or so. Women have been read bedtime stories from the age of 3 years of age on up, to a certain point, of course, to the Cinderella story, the Snow White story, the Hansel and Gretel, the shall we say, Beauty and the Beast. At least nowadays, anyway, for the Beauty and the Beast part of it, anyway. Um, Women have also even younger women have even gone by the aspect of the Wizard of Oz. Follow the yellow brick road. In a sense, that's exactly what they're doing in their thought process. Mgtow members, that's exactly what women are doing. They're following the yellow brick road, following the yellow brick road. And when they get to the brighter part of the yellow brick road is when they take the guy for practically everything he has through the court system, mostly in the sense of a divorce. And yet they expect the yellow brick road to be brighter than hell even with the guy in the relationship or marriage. And that's where they expect the guy to give them practically everything and anything without question, without hesitation, without difficulty. There you go, right there, ladies. We've figured your sorry fucking asses out on that aspect. You do not use that in your minds, women, because I know that's exactly what young women are taught by the media, by the, shall we say, TMZ situation of the starlets in Hollywood, to start with. But you know what? The one thing is that women don't, even young women are not told this. Even teenage women aren't even told this. Do not base your life on what happens in Hollywood, or how the women are living in Hollywood, or how the women are treated when it comes to glitz and glamour in Hollywood. Notice that's logical right there, because this is logical Mgtow. And I'm telling you the actuality, because in not only the logical Mgtow aspect of things, but also because I know psychology. And if you look on my Facebook page, you'll see logical Mgtow, and you'll see logical psychiatry. Now, of course, at the same time, you'll see Tom Likas fan and member page, and of course, you'll see my advocate page, CRPHA. I can help both males and females in the CRPHA part, and the logical psychiatry part. But the one thing is that women need to quit focusing on the yellow brick road and focus on what's in front of them. Quit trying to compare themselves to Hollywood, the starlets of Hollywood. Quit trying to emulate yourself with the starlets of Hollywood, of expecting to get everything and anything just because the starlets of Hollywood are getting that. The reason they're getting it is because they're working towards it. married and not married. There are women, female actresses out there in Hollywood that are married, and yet they're getting things for themselves because they're working for it. But at the same time, I know on occasion they get things, but of course they're also giving things even before they get things, and even sometimes in between if they're married at all. If you remember, ladies, that it took a while for Jennifer Aniston to find somebody, and believe me, I respect Jennifer Aniston because she's a very good actress, as Matthew Perry has said. Although she was given poor ass parts at times, except for when it came to working alongside with Jim Carrey. Of course, the only one that didn't really do so well with Jim Carrey is Courtney Cox, which was then in the mid millennium part as Courtney Cox Arquette in the later 90s to early millennium. Before, and this was then like a number of years after that she divorced David Arquette. But whether or not if she got things from him, and yet they didn't have any children, as far as it's been known anyway. But the basic fact is that she works for things that she wants. She doesn't expect things to be handed to her. Neither does Jennifer Aniston. Neither does um, who else? Oh yeah, Justine Bateman. Neither did Pam Dauber or Dawson from Mork and Mindy. Neither did Candace Cameron or Jodie Sweetin. Although Jodie Sweetin might have gone down the yellow brick road concept for a while, but hopefully she's not now. But the ones that have for some time, they hopefully will soon, or have the ones that have anyway, probably realize that it's not really benefiting them in any way, even if they are in relationships. And the reason why they broke it off is because they're not getting what they think they should get because of their gender. You cannot base things because of your gender either. You cannot say, well, that men cheat more than women, when really, even in my experience, women have cheated more so than men have, from the late 80s to the early to late 90s, and even today. In this millennium from 2000 to where we are right now in 2018, and it's going to keep on going until they realize it's not really benefiting them in any way and on any level. It's really hurting them. The conceptualization and negative illogical thoughts is this: the more you expect from a guy that's illogical, especially when it comes to expectations, to start with, you're going to lead yourself from what what one church that I'm a part of, and I will be proud, and I'm proud of being part of this one particular religion known as the Latter-day Saints. Even they believe that women have an easier chance of reaching the pearly gates, as it were. The basic fact is this: you want that same easier chance, women? You're going about it wrong by assuming you know men, assuming you think that men cheat more than women, and assuming you think that you know how to manipulate men, when even if you do try to manipulate a man, emotionally, psychologically, and when it comes to financial aspects as well, you're leading yourself from going straight up to going straight down into hell. The negative, the negative actions you do by manipulation, expectations, even the high ones that start with the high ones, even moderate, to from the that are completely outside of the realistic. Um, Although I know you women won't see it that way, obviously, because because your mind is still stuck on the starlets of Hollywood, and you won't even admit that. I know that. The one thing is, women are leading themselves into hell on that aspect, and when it comes to something like that. The only ones that have not led themselves to hell are the grandparents that have accepted the guy for who and how he is and how much he made, and still stayed with him, and stayed with him even through good and bad times, in which the way a marriage should be. And the woman never did him wrong. The woman never committed adultery, even in the relationship. Even while the guy was out defending our country in World War I and II to start with. But women, even the women that are married or seeing one of our armed forces soldiers, when the men are out there, and it's been even said on even Dr. Phil, for example, that the women have completely, now I'm not saying all, there's a fair percentage of them that have completely done the dude wrong by cheating on the dude while he's out defending our country, doing his duty, and at the same time making an income while doing that. But at the same time, there are women doing the same thing, but not very many, if any, of the men are cheating um, on the woman while she's out there fighting with the other men. But yet, it may be thought or even speculated that women in our armed forces are cheating on the men in the U.S. while they're out fighting, and the same thing could be said about the men out there. The basic fact is that you cannot base things of negative thoughts or negative assumptions. And you cannot base your living, your life, your existence on the aspect of what the starlets, the actresses are getting and receiving. But the one thing is that they're not getting it because they're rich and famous, or because they're famous in general to begin with. And the reason they became rich and essentially is because they worked towards it. It wasn't just handed to them. So you women need to realize the women in Hollywood do not want you to base your existence, livelihood on how they're living and what they're receiving. The reason they're receiving it mostly is because they're working for it. And they don't want you to base that based on on the aspect that you can do practically nothing and not even work and still get shit. They don't want you to go. They don't want you to have that thought process. How I know that? Because most of the ones out there have common sense. And believe me, I know one of them being Pam Dauber and also or Dawson, Pam Dauber or Dawson from Mork and Mindy, and and also a number of other actresses that I can name will agree with me. Even your famous ones will agree with me on that. Even the soap opera actresses will agree with me on that. Even the actresses that you see in movies will agree with me on that. And also, Disney did not create the base of the storyline of their recreation of Snow White. Even though there was an earlier version than that, which is completely different than that. The base of Cinderella, even though there was one that was done completely morbidly written, according from what I understand, before the Disney version. They didn't create Beauty and the Beast just so the mindset of a woman will say, "Oh, if I do this, I can just sit around and will be easily given to me because I'm a girl, or because I'm the weaker gender as it's seen in society. I can expect as much as and as high a level of things that I want, that I feel that I deserve." And the guy would have to give it, the boy or guy would have to give it to me, and well, even if it meant to ignore his needs and wants. Disney did not create that for that reason. He created it for both male and female children. Same thing with the basis of Mickey cartoons. The same thing the base of um, every cartoon from the beginning of Disneyland and even before Disneyland, the amusement park of Disneyland. He created those and many other ones even currently for both male and female, not just for just not for the conceptualization of the female gender or any aspect of the female gender for that matter. But of course, I know the women may look at it differently, and I hope to see what their thoughts are on that. Even the one with the leggings with the designs and the updated Daphne haircut and Tuli's and her thought on that. But the basic fact is, I speak the truth, and I am speaking not only realistic aspects and truths on what I've said, but also it is as I said, because that's reality for you. You cannot live in your own little world, women, in which I know you'll deny that you are. But you cannot live in the world of thinking that you deserve a higher percentage of shit, even if the guy has to ignore his needs and wants. That can easily lead to where you're alone for the rest of your natural life. And of course, I know eventually those blue pilled men will hopefully wake up and realize what you women are truly doing to them. And they'll start going again and going towards the Mgtow way as well. And the Mgtow way is not a negative thing. It's the fact that men are sick and tired of the way women have gone about when it comes to the expectations, and when it comes to the aspect of expecting things from men as well as society itself, which is illogical. The way they're going about it is not right, and also the expectations is way too non-realistic, and it's not logical. And also, here's another one too. On Soprano, if you men and women remember this, on one scene, and the clip of it, it's on YouTube, where one current male actor finds out that his wife, both the male and female actress and actor, essentially play two characters. See, the actress, the female character, wants to divorce from the male character, right? On The Soprano, but yet at the same time is that she feels that she should get a higher base of entitlement, even during the process of the divorce. She feels higher. She should be entitled more so than the man. I'm gonna. I know I've said this before, mostly outside the online aspect. The level of entitlement has been like this, and it always will remain like this. The base of entitlement to women is this, where the male is entitled more than them. But yet, at the same time, with that same thought process, they want it to be like this, where they're even higher, and the male's right here, if not lower. That also is illogical. That also is not reality. Regardless, if you want to live in your own little world and have that thought process, you're gonna be running into difficulty after difficulty after difficulty, even in the basis of relationships, even in the basis of living your life and trying to succeed. Whether you graduated from a high school, college, whatever. As I said, each level you're making things harder for yourself. And the women who have children, who are seen as now young single mothers, who still think that they can raise a child equally as well, if not better, than the traditional aspect of the man and woman, father and mother. Mm-mm. Here's the reality of things. The entitlement levels will always stay the same. It's not going to budge regardless of even if society gives in. But society won't really give in, though. That's the thing. So women need to realize the entitlement levels are going to be always equal. Even if the woman doesn't see it that way. And even if the man doesn't see that, if a number of men don't see it that way, it's always going to be like this. Equal, leveled, as if you were to put it on a scale. It's still going to be like this. And on the aspect of where women think they can raise a child or children better than the known again traditional thing as with mother and father. Do you realize that even in the 1970s it wasn't as easy as it may have seemed or have been voiced out. You realize it's even tougher to raise a child by yourself, even after the the base of a divorce or a separation. It's not as easy, and therefore also you cannot play two parts. You cannot play the mother nurturing and the stable father figure. You're only one person trying to fulfill both sides. You only can only feel one. But that doesn't mean to that. But and I know many males are worried about this. Is that the woman will try to make the male youth believe that he should go coincide and do what the female expects. Luckily for me, I don't have that. My mother doesn't have that thought process to where I should do what the woman expects and wants, and the whole expectation and the fact that I should ignore my needs and wants and my own expectations. My mother doesn't think that way. But of course, that's what many even Mgtow members are worried about when it comes to the single mother aspect with a child. There's also Mgtow members having this aspect of thought, and that is simply that with the single mother and the daughter thing, with the daughter only anyway, is that she should expect things to be given to her, without question, freely, and all that crap, right? Basically, the same concept of what many women even today think, even teenage women think. It's gonna make every generation that's being taught that harder have a harder life, and where many of them will become homeless and or streetwalkers. And believe me, it's not. And believe me, I as a parent myself, I don't want that. I don't want that for any child. I believe children deserve to have a mother and father regardless, and not a and not a and not a imaginary aspect of where the woman tries to play two parts. When the woman only can be the nurturer and provider. But the basic fact is the child or children deserve to have two parts. The nurturer and provider on the on the mothering part of it, but of course the father, which is also the provider, but also the father is also another positive part. He could also be a nurturer as well and a provider in his own right. But the one thing is that women, even the mothers, have a higher expectations. And yes, people do change. That's a given. That's more than a given. But the one thing is that if you want to have a child, ladies, and I know there are many men out there that would like to have children as well, as a way of carrying out the line of and their teachings. But the basic fact is that the women cannot have too high of expectations. They can't expect things to be given to them even non-realistically. I mean, to the points of illogical, unrealistic levels, in which most of them do want unrealistic, illogical levels, and yet they don't see it that way, obviously, as I said before. Until women realize that aspect, and even until women get back into reality instead of doing the high expectation shit. The women are going to make society and humanity suffer to where the procreation will be less and less and less, to the points of humanity is obliterated, till when the last woman is dead and buried, humanity is gone. That's exactly the way it is turning out to be. The way women are and think that they know men and think they understand the Mgtow way and all this other shit. And the ones that and here's another one Mgtow members. As I mentioned, there is a woman by the name of Thule. She has the thought of and she apparently wants people to believe that she supports Mgtow. And she claims to be not a feminist, but on her other two videos, if you watch her other two videos, she is a feminist. She's not a traditionalist. She claims to be a traditionalist on one of her videos, even if not two of them. You know what I mean? She's not a traditional. She has no she has no capacity or conceptualization of what a traditionalist is. So So basically, she's basically making a fool of herself by claiming that she's a traditionalist. And by also claiming that she's not a feminist. By claiming that she's supportive of Mgtow and that she cares about us men. If Thule is watching this, I'm speaking the truth. I can see right through your your visualization of things. I'm going to show you.
Well, hi. Um,
Okay, the random her video that you'll be hearing
I have
is random thoughts on Mgtow, traditionalism, and feminism.
I'm pretty sure no one is interested in what I have to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. I've been against feminism for as long as I can remember. I've never been in support of feminism, and the thing is, feminism is one of those things that just makes me sad because it's terrifyingly sad to see the destruction of the society that I so fully love from my whole heart, to say the least. And I mean the West. I feel like the only way that you can really fight feminism as a man is to go your own way. I think that once men have gone their own way as a whole in large groups, it only takes one crisis. It doesn't even have to be a large crisis for us women to wake up after men have acted out and said, no, we will not save you anymore because you've told us that we're not worth anything. You know, if you can do the same thing that we can do, then why do you need us to save you? I'm also a realist, and I understand that it's highly unlikely that women, as the gender who has not had to be the gender to rebuild things throughout history, I don't think we would all of a sudden be able to reverse evolution and become insanely good at building things. So I think that it would only take a small incident like that to bring girls back to traditionalism. So that's why I'm in support of Mgtow. And I also think on an individual level, it's undescribably important to men to have this kind of movement, to have an all-male space where you're encouraged to use your skills to building your life further and further and reaching your goals and making yourself goals for your life. I think it's amazing because, you know, Boy Scouts now have girls, the Army has girls, which I think is highly flawed. I can make a video about that too. How terrible it is to have women joining the Army, but I want to emphasize the fact that I'm not a part of Mgtow. I'm not a man. If I was a man, I would go my own way, but I'm not, so I won't. But I'm a Mgtow supporter. I stand with you guys.
You notice that she's on the phone in between all this? If you watch the video, you'll see her on the phone and saying in the bottom of the thing, you'll see her saying, I got a phone call because she considers herself important. That's too fucking thinking too highly of herself, which is illogical.
Now I've made clear that the reason why I'm a Mgtow supporter is mainly because I do deeply care about men on an individual basis, and also because Mgtow is the way that we can start trying to undo the damage that feminism has done. Well, then comes the question, why am I against feminism? And I'm actually against all waves of feminism. From the first wave onward, I think giving women the right to vote was a terrible idea. Because I'm still so young, I have to heavily base my opinions of the world to what I can personally observe by looking around me. And with the years of experience I have about living as a girl among girls, I've noticed that it's women are very much herd animals, and so we are very easily influenced by other women, and especially celebrities. Um, so I think that's one of the reasons why it's not a good idea to let women vote, because we're so gullible in a way. And the other reason, of course, is I think thousands of years of evolution have made men be very good at what they do, which is rebuilding societies, inventing stuff, and being leaders and decision makers. Men have this amazing capability of looking at their actions in this moment and thinking, what could come as a result of me doing this thing in this moment? What things could it possibly cause? And I don't see that with women around me. The third reason why I'm against first wave feminism also is because I've seen what damage it has done to our
You know, she can't think of anything.
Google says that the word I'm searching for is population structure. When you give women this right to vote, then what comes with that is also the responsibility of knowing what you're doing when you're voting for someone, which means that there's more responsibility in regards to knowing about what is going on in the
Feminist.
world, which creates stress. Um, it's a slippery slope.
Feminist
Give women the right
on this
to vote.
video.
They start working more, less babies, the population ages, your country dies. It's a slippery slope. One of these traits that I also see as being in contradiction with feminist ideals is women's need for drama. I think this goes down to female nature. As a first-hand experience of living as a girl, I've noticed that there's an inbuilt need for women to create drama. Um, and that's not a very good trait to have if you're going to have to decide for your country's future. As a woman, sometimes you put yourself into situations that you know might lead to something bad just because then you can be sad and you can feel like a victim. And sometimes being sad as a girl feels really good. I don't know why. You search for excitement. And I think you can see this across the age band of girls. Especially after the age of 20. You know, you go and you party, and then when you're a middle-aged woman, then you start, blossoming again. They say this could also be partially the reason for nagging, because that's a pretty good way of creating drama, making somebody angry at you or sad. And I see this trait in all the female activists that are going around outside and they're yelling. And, the Women's March, great example. The women don't even necessarily know what they're protesting, and they certainly can't specify the problem and the solution to the problem, but they're still protesting. And I think the reason for that is it's drama. What could be more dramatic and exciting than being an activist, thinking that you're fighting against something terrible, and oh, I'm the heroine. Another trait of women, which I see as being in contradiction to feminist ideas, is that women always want change, but they don't necessarily understand what could come as a result of that change, or what the change even possibly is. This can be seen in multiple levels of life. You have the more vain levels of life. Women want change in a way that they have millions of shoes and they have so many clothes and they just like I don't know what to wear. I have to
Typical
change
woman thought right there. Clothing.
Many women color their hair. There's also this weird trend of women cutting their hair to be like short, and they might just say like, oh, I wanted to change something about me. Even if the change is for worse. Long hair is a sign of health. I wish mine was longer, but it's not because I don't get enough protein. I'm trying to fix that. And where this change can be seen in a more deeper level is, for example, yes, the protesting, then there's the nagging, you know. Women often nag and they don't know why they're nagging.
Bullshit.
They might be nagging about something that is so tiny, and it would be quicker to even fix it yourself than to nag about it, to say your husband, but you still nag because you have to constantly change. Nothing is ever good. But I think there's also a purpose for this, because I'm a traditionalist. I think the purpose of nagging is also to improve the man, sort of. It's not very effective.
Wrong.
There's the reproductive aspect to it, which I'm not going to go deep into because I'm Christian. If the man feels like they're not doing something right and the woman is constantly nagging about it, then often the man will try to fix that problem. At least that's
Feminist
what
right
my
there.
dad would do with my mom. My mom is very good at nagging, I can tell you that. That's why I think it's partially about male improvement. Personally, I believe that it's more effective to be encouraging to your husband, because that doesn't damage their ego and they can be much more powerful by that. In that way, you sort of have to acknowledge when you're going off that end, when you're crossing the line of giving constructive criticism and when you're acting just irrationally and nagging. I try to acknowledge these things, and that's also one of the reasons why for Mgtow, because if we acknowledge female and male nature, we can improve society and personal relationships with that. Think about it. If we can be conscious of why we're
Right there is a feminist aspect right there.
we can improve ourselves and we can construct society in a way where the
Feminism.
best traits of female and male nature
Feminism.
get to really
Feminism.
work. Because society has to be constructed in a way
Feminism.
where it works for the most of us.
Feminism.
We
Feminism.
can't take every single exception in account.
Feminism.
We can't take every single trans helicopter XXXYYYZ person.
See what I mean? She thinks she knows what she's talking about. She doesn't. She thinks that she's smart too, by the way.
I don't like about feminism, but the things that I previously mentioned go into the whole first way, because many of these anti-feminist YouTubers, for example, that I see, they are against third wave feminism, and even more large of a group of anti-feminist YouTubers are against radical feminism that doesn't offend most people. If you just say, well, these are radical feminists that are doing this, I think the damage is much broader and it comes from feminism itself. It's difficult being smart. Don't be smart. I'm actually not smart, so you know. But yes, then there's of course the damage that putting women where they don't belong does to society. Putting women into leading professions, to be CEOs, to put women into the army, to disrupt male hierarchies. It's terribly damaging, I think. We could go into so much depth about this, but I feel like a part of me thinks, wow, like maybe I can actually make a YouTube channel, you know? What a greater time to...
I think you get my point. She's a complete feminist. She is not a traditionalist, and she's not a true Mgtow supporter. She herself, being TUULIKONTIO, she also has a video known as "Can Women Ever Love Men?" and "How Gender Equality Destroyed." She mentions a friend zone situation. But there is one that I feel that is in support of Mgtow. But her opinion is she's like a British person or English person, but she understands Mgtow. But the one thing is that not no woman truly understands Mgtow as much as they claim. Not even not even the ones that think they know what they're talking about when it comes to that. And also, here's one of aspect is as I was about to mention is that the reason I, as an advocate, support and back the the ERA, being the feminist movement of the 1970s, between 72 to 78, is because at that point, women were not really accepted, being considered or even accepted in the sense of the working world, as well as the educational aspect of things, and of course they were kind of downgraded. Actually, maybe not kind of exactly, but they were basically looked upon as they were looked upon in the 1950s and 60s, and 20s, 30s, and 40s. And so basically, I'm backing their aspect on the reason why they marched and protested till they got equality in that aspect. But the feminist movement of today is complete nonsense, and I've already explained it in this video why. And if you want to know more, I can tell you. And for Thule, the one that you heard, Mgtow brothers don't believe she's not a Mgtow supporter. She is a complete feminist, even though she claims that she's against feminism, regardless of the level. Yet she speaks like a feminist. She's not a traditionalist as much as she claims. She's not a traditionalist in the hindsight of things. And as you can tell, if you watch Morgan Mindy, where they talk to Mindy's old high school or college friend, and who she considers herself to be rainbow, sounds practically exactly like what you heard. So, women, you do not know jack shit about Mgtow, you don't know jack shit about men, and you need to quit the high expectation crap. You need to quit the other aspect of thinking that you are entitled to more than men, because that's not reality. The more women do that, the more women do the things that I've also said that women have done, even in the instance of raising children. And also, when it comes to the relationship thing of expecting things to be given to them freely and all that crap, and also the aspect of the entitlement and of everything I said. The women that go by the negative things that I mentioned are going to be hitting the metaphorical wall a lot sooner than they expect, which basically will still make it to where they are totally alone. So women, you need to get away from those the negative thought concepts and aspects and what have you, because it's not really helping you and your gender, and it's not helping your friends, your female friends either. So, Mgtow is a lot more logical than when the women on the YouTube videos may try to conceptualize Mgtow as, and try to give a separate viewpoint to it. And we are not, and Mgtow is not out to give the assumption that even the younger generation has to go by the way us men think. But basically, it is that we all men think differently. We're not all we're not all the same as many women may think in the thought process to start with. And yes, women, there are still blue pill men out there that will give their livelihood to you. But of course, that may not last, because the more a woman treats a blue pill man like shit, to the point to where she gets everything that she wants and expects, and she thinks that she deserves, which is basically illogical 100 more than 100% of the time, and which is basically non-realistic. You will find more blue pill men turn into Mgtow, which basically is going to hurt the the feminist ideology and terminology and what have you else. And it's also going to hurt the feminist aspect as well. And with what I said on this video is going to be more than damaging to the feminist act and the feminist ideology and the feminist movement in general. It's even damaging to the quote unquote Me Too movement, in which basically it's been said earlier in the year that the Me Too movement wants men to join. But of course, I know the only men that will join until they wake up to reality for themselves are the blue pill men that will join the Me Too movement and side with the women on that aspect. Till that man or men wake up to realize what women are really at, which is illogical and not realistic. Agree with it or not, I don't care, women, but the basic fact is you will find it is reality once you come to to wake up and smell the metaphorical coffee and deodorant for that matter. This is the leader and head Mgtow of Logical Mgtow group page via Facebook and on blogspot.com. And if any younger generation of men or men in general want to know how to join Mgtow and or want to know more information on the aspect of the feminist bullshit and the female ideology and whatnot, which basically seen with the fact that I was, as I said before, and I'm not trying to gloat or nothing, but the basic fact is that yes, I was raised by women, being my mother and her sisters and my grandmother. And yes, I had my uncle, being my mother's brother, and my grandfather. But of course, as a small child, I was mostly around my aunts and my mother and my grandmother mostly, because my grandfather and my uncle were making a living for the family as well as themselves. I'm going to make one quick addition to it. Yes, we have the ability to live a longer life, but it is logically sound to say this, and logical to say this, is that the way that women have stressed and pushed and nagged the male gender is why men have lived a shorter life. Everything that builds up with stress, anxiety, and various other things is why men live a shorter life. And it's mostly done by not 100% of the working world, but by women. Not 100% by the family aspect of the surrounding, because the family doesn't do that intentionally, but by women in the dating concept and in their relationship, marriage concept of the woman's high expectations, many other illogical things that I've already mentioned on this video, which I'm not going to repeat. And basically, the Mgtow movement is also an aspect of saying we're not going to put up with that crap no more. So basically, women need to wake up to reality and quit going to the high expectations of things, and the thinking that they can get higher entitlements because of the weaker gender and because they're women. Until the court systems change, which they have in some respect to a very minimal percentage, the women will be benefited on the court system when it comes to divorces. Other than that, and when it comes to being beaten around by the law enforcement, other than that, women cannot expect to get more than that. Women need to realize that men are people too. Men deserve the same expectations as women. Men deserve the many things that women deserve equally. It's all on an equal basis. But the basic fact is that until women realize that and actually go by that, when women are going to find themselves fighting and trying to manipulate and struggle by trying to get the guy to go on their mindset. It's not going to be easy, women. I can guarantee you that, unless you go by the logic aspects. And I can help you with that, with the video that I will make on um, on the logical psychiatry, which I will not make this week or any week, but look for it. And even logical Mgtow, as well as Mgtow, want to thank the armed forces for serving our country and risking your lives, which I know you are more than willing to do that for our country and for the American people. We thank you for those veterans from World War One, II, and Vietnam, and also in today's armed forces that are even still out there defending our country, and the ones that have also come home. And may Heavenly Father bless the American people and the United States of America. And like I said, I hope to hear from each and every one of you, but also I will not deal with any insults or degradation emotionally and psychologically. You want to put out a point, you can do it without insults. Have a wonderful day.